So, today is going to be a very eventful day. I'm going to take you along for the ride. The two main things I'm trying to do today are dye some clothes for a live stream I'm doing with my friend Alejandro and make this Christmas present for my cousin. So, I'm going to kind of show you a tutorial, kind of walkthrough of one, how I dye my clothes, and two, the more important part that people have been asking about, how to go from conceptualizing an image to putting it on a screen to screen printing it and getting the hoodies and shirts and whatever and having a finished product. So kind of to start, like with a background, I've been doing only screen printed stuff for my friends. My idea for my cousin, because she's really into sustainable stuff, is to do a design kind of based on like sustainability or going green. So I just kind of thought of either using one of these two phrases, go green or the future's vegan. I went with go green just because it's more of a blanket thing, you know, just less abrasive. I went through that whole design process, just kind of built around that idea of going green and made a design out of it. So in my head, this is kind of what I envisioned. It's like this image right over here. And I think it'd look really cool on a brown hoodie with like some maybe green or some cream color. So yeah, I already have the design. I have to go get the transparency sheet. I have to go get the clothes and I have to go buy some dye. But other than that, we're just gonna hop into it and I'm gonna show you pretty much how you do it. But first things first, it's coffee time because I am exhausted. Hello. So I got these new beans when I went up to Delaware from this place called Little Goat. They're really good. So I've been making coffee like every day. So while my coffee's brewing, I just kind of want to take you through my idea. So this is the colored design that I'm going to be posting on my Instagram. This is it all broken down. If you want to go like really into detail, I mean, it's literally just a ton of shapes. If we go to this artboard is 11 by 17. I did it this width-wise just to kind of have like a bigger print, if that makes sense, because if you're doing from this end, it might squish it a little bit. And I want this to be a big print on a hoodie. So I'm gonna be sending this off to FedEx to get my transparency sheet, and you'll see this in physical real life soon. And then I'm gonna burn it. If your FedEx offers it, make sure it's either 11 by 17 or 8.5 by 11, just like a standard paper size. I'm just gonna export it as a JPEG, and then I'm just gonna save it to my desktop, and I'm gonna call it Go Green. And it's this easy. You ready? Watch this. Go to mail. Oh, look at that, my little tag. Print and go FedEx. Boom, subject, design, drag and drop it, and boom, there it is. Not vectorized in this case, just because we saved it out as a JPEG, but literally all this is gonna do, just send straight to them and should get an email back. And would you look at that? I got an email saying, congratulations, your documents are ready for retrieve and printing. So I'm gonna save this code in my email. I'm gonna hop over to Artisan Craftsman, then go to FedEx, and then I'll be ready to start on burning my screens. It's that easy. One of my favorite things about living in the location that I live, saying that this local art store is like walking distance away from my house would be an understatement. It is like right around the block. And it is so sick and so convenient for me because I tend to forget stuff all the time. And literally all I have to do is walk like a block away and then I'm there. Look, already at the art store. Boom, that fast. I'm gonna go in and get my stuff. I think this is the boy I'm going with. All right, that was a quicker trip than usual. I got a huge screen, so I'm kind of stoked about that. I could probably put 2 or 3 designs on there, which would be nice. The emulsion that we're using is like not light sensitive anymore, or it's just getting old. And they were out of emulsion at my place, so I had to get one of these like Diazo Speedball like emulsion kits, which is fine. I mean, they're really useful. They're like 27 bucks or something like that. Emulsion kits are really useful if you're just getting started because it comes with like everything you need, like the sensitizer and then the emulsion remover and all that. Now I need to go get the garments, which will be from Walmart because they have really decent blanks, believe it or not. So a little update, the FedEx that I usually go to, their printer's down right now. So they actually suggested for me to go to one like 20 minutes away. So I'm gonna head there, try to get this printed off, start the emulsion process, but we're getting there, All right, we're at FedEx number 2. So I'm about to roll in, get this transparency sheet printed. Pretty much all you have to do if you want to get it printed is just walk in, say, hey, I want a transparency sheet printed in X size, 11 by 17 or 8.5 by 11, and give them that code that you got in your email. So we're gonna do that. I don't know why I expected that to not take an hour and a half considering it's like a week from Christmas, but there she is on the transparency sheet. So that's the hard part out of the way. Now I just need to go to the studio, put the emulsion on the screen, yada, 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 get this thing started. So yeah, I think last place I need to go to is Walmart to get some clothes and some dye, and we'll be headed to the studio. We're at Walmart, and I think you'll actually be pretty surprised. Not the highest quality, but like color-wise, pretty sick. So I'm gonna show you. All right, so I actually didn't end up getting as many garments as I wanted to from Walmart, but that's okay because I got some wrapping paper and some other things that I needed. But the main thing I was trying to get from there is this stuff. I know it's for synthetic, but it still kind of comes out on some cotton blends that I have. So this is gonna be one of the only things I need to dye for the live stream. So pretty much all we have to do now is like dye the clothes and then go do our screen. All right, so I'm in the studio. I have my emulsion and I have my big screen, which I realized is actually a little too big for the design I wanna do. So I have a clean screen, so it's just a nice extra screen. So I'm gonna show you the full process, start to finish, of mixing the emulsion, putting the emulsion on the screen itself, setup of how I get it dry, the whole 9 yards. So let's do it. So this is the bathroom that we use. Pretty much what I'm gonna do is I'm going to out there, put the emulsion on the screen, come in here, shut this light off, and then prop it right up there. Essentially, it's just gonna be a way of me getting a darker room. So right now, I can't find my emulsion spreader. So I'm gonna prove a point. Target gift card. Super flimsy, goofy Target gift card. We're gonna spread it that way. So if you get this kit, the Speedball kit, it's gonna come with 4 things. It's gonna come with the instructions, it's gonna come with the emulsion, it's gonna come with the emulsion remover, and it's gonna come with a sensitizer. First step of all of this is you're going to want to mix the sensitizer into the emulsion fully. Fill bottle to 1/2 full with cold water. So I'm about to fill it with cold water. I only have a hose, so I'm gonna go get a hose. All right, so I added my water to my sensitizer, and pretty much just need to shake it, make sure it's really well mixed. I'm just using a paint scraper to mix it together. So then you're gonna pop open your emulsion. There's gonna be a little tab on it. So once it's open, you're gonna take off your sensitizer, pour all of it inside, and then you're going to mix it super well. And I mean like super, super well. The emulsion starts blue, so you're gonna mix it pretty much until you get kind of like this greeny, whatever color. Do it for maybe like five minutes. Remember that this stuff is light sensitive, so just try to not do this out in the middle of the day or something like that. Do it like in your house or something. So now we've got our emulsion mixed, we've got our screen, and we've got our bootleg emulsion spreader. I have my emulsion, have my screen, and my bootleg emulsion spreader. I'm doing this out in the light, I guess, in the main room. I would personally suggest if you're gonna do this, maybe do it like in a little bit of a darker room or like with a red light or something like that. But this is a lot easier than it looks. It just takes practice. So don't get discouraged if you mess it up. It happens to me all the time. I promise I still mess up screens. Do about this much. Keep your emulsion bottle open. Get your emulsion spreader. In this case, I'm using a gift card. One pass, you're gonna tilt it like this. So I'm using kind of a mix of gravity and also just tilting the screen up and down. You're just getting rid of the excess. Then, once you feel like it's good and there's no streaks on this end, I'm feeling pretty good about this. My screen looks like this right now. Flip to the other side. Whoops, did not mean to slam that. I'm just gonna do the same thing. And for me, this is where I'd probably stop. I'm pretty happy with how this is covered. It looks super thin, consistent enough for me. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in that bathroom right over there. So you're not gonna be able to see it, but the screen is right there. Typically, I'd have a fan right in this area blowing on it so it'd dry a little bit faster, but I don't know where that is right now. So I'm just gonna close the door and I'm going to grab this cardboard that we usually use. Just prop that against the door so there's no light coming in through the grate. And then pretty much from here on out, it's just the waiting game, believe it or not. One of the most important things when it comes to spreading emulsion, I would say take your time, be patient with it, don't rush it, because if it's not fully dry, then it's just all gonna wash away and then you're gonna have to go through it all over again. So patience is key in this case. So don't rush it. I know it's exciting. Trust me, I've rushed way too many prints and it just ended up taking me longer. So we're gonna wait for that to dry. I'm going to print just like a few things just to have some extras of and dye some stuff at my house after that. So I'm gonna show you kind of like what it looks like when I just am doing some casual prints. Good morning. We're now on day 2 trying to emulsify and burn that screen. Like I said, I had to be a little patient because I had to wait for it to dry. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the setup and I'm gonna go through the process of burning it. It's pretty much the setup that you need to see. This is also where we keep a lot of our like loose garments or just stuff that we're using for misprints. And we have just one emulsion light. So the thing with these emulsion lights is, or I would say these emulsion light bulbs, is they only last about 30 times, 35 tries, and then they'll burn out. I typically try not to use the sun. You can, you know, if it's in your budget. It just takes 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and it's hard to adjust for the exposure. Where say with one of these lights, it can take like 6 minutes, 7 minutes at the most. You get 30 tries out of it, and then you kind of can have more time to actually create stuff, if that makes sense. I'm gonna go grab the screen out of the darkroom. I'm going to put the transparency sheet down on it, reverse, because you have to do a reverse, just because when you're printing, you want it to come down the right direction. And I'm gonna turn on this light and set a timer for like 6 minutes or so. Screen goes down with the front facing up. Got my design, reverse. Gonna try to center it the best I can. I have my emulsion light, my screen itself with the emulsion on it, and I didn't do a great job at spreading it, but that's okay. To explain what is happening right now, all this green from this light on the screen is curing. The black is blocking the light, so essentially that part is not going to cure. So once this is finished, we're gonna go out to the front, grab a hose, spray it down, and all of the parts that are black are going to wash out. And that's where we're actually gonna press our ink through, if that makes sense. What can happen sometimes is if this light is on here for too long, it'll overexpose it, so the actual design won't wash out. Alternatively, if you underexpose it, all of the parts will wash out, so your design, everything. So we got about a minute left, so I'm gonna go ahead and position the camera to where we can wash this out. I literally just use a hose and my finger to like kind of scrub it out, and that's it. It's all it takes. I try to do this kind of quick because you're in the sun, so. Well, I'm soaked and freezing, but it actually worked. I'll kind of show you what the screen's supposed to look like. So essentially you want your screen to look a little similar to this. You can see all of those pieces or that image are transparent. What I usually do to let it dry is I'll just pop it in the gravel in the sun and kind of let it do its thing. Got to be patient, let it cure all the way. Make sure your screen is fully dry before you screen print, because there's a whole mess of problems that can happen. The hard part's over. The part of us having to actually emulsify the screen and go through that whole process, that's over. Now, really, what's left is actually getting to print, which is my favorite part. So, all right, so I'm a little sleepy because I just got back from a nap, but our screen is dry. One thing that I like to do, I have some screen printing tape. You can see like right here that I just like to tape off before I actually go through the screen printing process. All right, so I have the screen taped up, so I'm gonna kind of show you how my whole setup is. This is the whole setup that I have. This is what I use all the time. You can get these off of Amazon, the screen printing press. I think this one was like maybe 150, 200. Essentially, you slide your screen in here, tighten it down, and then you press down and then lock this into place. And if you want to bring it back up, you just pull it up like this. It's super easy to put together from what I understand. You slide the shirt onto here and then you just go at it. So we're just gonna need to put the screen printing ink down, get the screen in there, and print some shirts. So I'm just gonna unscrew these little bits, slide my screen in, and I have a drawn on center line to figure out where the center of my screen is. Tighten it down, about hand tight, easy as that. I'm gonna tape off some stuff that I'm seeing. So this is the fun part. This is where I get to choose what shirts I want to use. I think this design would look very cool on a cream colored shirt. And then our zip up hoodie. So now we got to choose our ink, which is also one of my favorite things to do. So I already see which one I want. It's not over here, it's actually over there. I'm gonna use some of this green ink. pop that up there, grab our squeegee, let's get printing. So with this tote, I'm not actually gonna be able to slide it over the board like I will with the shirts, but I'll show you how to do the shirts too. So I'm actually just gonna lay it straight down like this. I think it'll be fine. These little notches, as long as everything lays flat, you're not necessarily gonna have to worry about anything. I have a center line drawn on my board. These totes are about the same size, so you kind of can just eyeball it. I usually drop the screen first to just kind of get an idea of the orientation. So yeah, like right here, I'm thinking I like it because I have about, you know, 2 or 3 inches from the top, 2 or 3 inches from the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply my ink. There's really no such thing as too much ink, but you also don't want to waste it. You're gonna want to do this super important thing. Flood the screen first. When I say flood the screen, I mean just do a pass. Just make sure that the ink is already in the design. Take a look on the other side and see, is there any pieces that may be showing or not pushing through or anything along those lines. Drop it down, lock this back in place like this. I'm gonna do 1 pass with a lot of pressure, 2 passes with a lot of pressure, 1 more just for safekeeping. Actually, we'll do 2 more. And that's pretty much all it'll take most of the time. This is the first time I pulled the screen, so we're gonna see what happens. All right, so just look at the screen. And honestly, I'm not upset with this print. It's a little messy, which is, I mean, okay. For a first pass, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. It's a little bit of a thinner design, which I'm into. It just looks like I maybe did too many passes on it, which is pretty easily fixable. I'm gonna hang this one up. I'm gonna do a few others. That's hung up. I'm gonna show you how to do a shirt. So, shirt time. A little fun fact when it comes to shirts that you order wholesale, a lot of times they'll end up having a fold line. So I mentioned that I have a middle line in my actual plate itself. When you slide your shirt onto your plate, what you can do is if you grab right here and just pinch, if you can see, I have a little fold line going right about here. Not as prominent in this shirt, unfortunately. A little tip that you can use if you want to try to center it. Another thing that I tend to do too is pull up these sleeves and kind of use my fingers to check to see, okay, so this is where the seam of that sleeve is. Or using the tag, you know, just getting it to line up as well as possible. It's not like perfect, but I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know? As long as you put in as much effort as you can, it's a lot of things that people won't actually even notice. So same with the shirt, just kind of use your last printed piece to kind of have an idea of, okay, this is where I'm going to drop this screen down. So same thing as last time, you're just going to make sure you flood the screen first. So for this one, I pretty much need only 1 pass. Drop this down, lock it into place. Make sure that the actual printing press is being pressed down on the board. 1 pass, 2 passes. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. All it took was 2 passes. Actually pretty happy with how it turned out too. Hang it up on our little handy dandy clothesline and let that dry. So the cool thing with non-plastisol, or I would say water-based inks, you don't have to cure it. You can either leave it out in the sun or in 24 hours, it'll be cured. I'm gonna print 2 more things and then we'll be done. And just like that, you should have some screen printed stuff. These are how mine turned out. I'm letting them just dry in the sun. That's it. Now you know how to print. But if you have any questions, just drop it in the comments, or you can DM me, or anything along those lines on my Instagram, my TikTok, any of that. But I guess like the video, subscribe. If you want more tutorials, let me know. This was a ton of fun. You kind of got to see the whole process of me making some Christmas gifts. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully I helped you out. If I did, let me know. So yeah, thanks guys. Love you. See ya.